Welcome to a new episode of the Red Arrow Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Marco, with my lovely co-host,
Jessica.
How's it going, Jessica?
It's great. How are you, Marco?
I'm excellent. This is our 13th episode. It's also, we're about to kick off Memorial Day weekend,
Woo.
which is the kickoff to summer. So we decided to do something special. So we are recording outside, out on the deck, for brunch. What are you drinking, Jessica?
I am having a mimosa.
Are you now?
I am, and it's delicious.
How did you make your mimosa?
It is 4 ounces of brut champagne and 0.5 ounces of the Tropicana 50.
That is oddly specific.
Well, I measured it. I wanted to know exactly how many carbs were in it, and it comes out to 4 carbs.
Want me to let you in on a secret on how I make mimosas?
Sure.
A splash of this, a splash of that. It's morning. I don't want to break out measuring cups.
Well, I did, because I'm a nerd, so yay.
Awesome.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
What's in your coffee?
Coffee.
Anything else?
Maybe. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, before we kick off this holiday weekend in style, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. Our little garden is sprouting, and that's really exciting. There's so many little baby plants in there, and the kids come and check on it every morning, and they say, "Oh, the thyme has sprouted. Oh, the bergamot has sprouted. The sunflower has still not sprouted. Where is the sunflower, Mommy?"
It's taking off way faster than we thought. We thought we'd be 3 weeks before we saw anything.
Right, that's what the label said.
And we're known for our brown thumbs.
Yes.
So the fact that they're all still alive, they're all starting to sprout.
Impressive.
Some are taking off faster than others.
Yeah, like, I don't know what that is through the window, but it's pretty tall. We might have to thin that one sooner than we thought.
The fact that we're thinning it and not just throwing out the pile of dirt that didn't grow anything is amazing.
Yes.
How about e-schooling, though?
E-schooling, you know what? E-schooling was actually fantastic this week. All of the kids did all of their work without too many complaints. Kid number 2, especially, he has, it takes him a while to do all of his homework, and sometimes he has trouble focusing on it, and so if he's not completely focused, then he'll miss some of his review questions or test questions, depending on what they're doing. This week, he got all of the new concepts. He actually got almost 100% on every single review questionnaire, every single test that he took, and most importantly, they started doing long division. And it only took him 3 tries to get the hang of it, and then he could just do it. And that was really amazing to me. I thought it was going to be a nightmare, but it wasn't.
There's nothing like waiting to the last week before. I mean, next week's assessments and whatnot, but this is the last actual week of school.
Yeah.
Let's break out the long division. Now, I know they're previewing it for next year.
It makes me really excited.
Well, it makes me very excited,
to
too.
Jump right into it in
but
the fall.
For Kid 4, now, for the other kids, it makes perfect sense. For Kid 4, Kid 2, sorry. Kid 4 is looking through the window at me. But for Kid 2, who's our ADHD kid, he's our autism spectrum kid, breaking in a new concept, but you know, when you see it on the list, it's like, oh no, bracing ourselves for it, and like, he took to it right away.
But, I will say, they also introduced rulers this week, and how to measure things, and the inches were fine, the half inches were fine, but when they got to the quarter inch portion of the week, that set me right over the edge, and I couldn't do it. He had a lot of trouble with that, and I had to call in Marco.
You know who will be really good at that, though, is kid number 3, who loves projects and loves screws and everything. Measuring. So things that get down to 1/8 of an inch or 1/16, he'll be right on when we get to that.
I'm not worried about him. He'll be great at measuring. I'm not great at measuring.
Along the lines with measuring, we've got kid meal again this week. And that measuring comes in because teaching them how to follow a recipe and instructions, and be sure you read, because there is a difference between a tablespoon of something and a teaspoon of something.
Yes.
And 1/4 doesn't mean 4. So a quarter teaspoon is not 4 tablespoons once.
Indeed, it's not.
So this week for kid meal, what did they prepare for us, Jess?
They made pulled pork sandwiches, and kid number 1 made a fresh veggies and dip tray, which was exciting because we got to practice knife skills.
And those plastic knives we have where it's got the scalloped edge, so no matter how hard they press, they're not going through their finger, they're not going to break the skin, but it does cut through the veggies. You can't do a fine dice on it.
No.
But
it's very rough chop with them.
But if you want long strips to dip into dip,
exactly,
it works great.
Kid number 2 made pulled pork sirloin tip roast in the pressure cooker, and that was really exciting.
Especially when it was letting off the steam.
Exactly, that was the exciting part.
But he also loved, because I've got the, for shredding meat, the big Wolverine claws that come out, and he even held them like he was a comic book hero, just shredding it after it was cooked, and it was just falling
that's
apart.
actually what he said. I'm Wolverine, look at me!
Slightly terrifying, because those actually do have sharp tips on them.
Mm-hmm.
But he was taking it seriously other than doing the pose.
Yeah. Kid number 3 made cornbread from scratch, and see, this is where the measuring comes in. We were constantly having to check, is that a teaspoon or a tablespoon? We've got to talk about why it's important. And what will happen if you use 3 tablespoons of this and not 2 teaspoons of it? And kid number 4 made caprese salad with avocados. It was so good.
And she had a little bit of help. She was great at picking the basil leaves off the plant.
Mm-hmm.
The mozzarella was pre-sliced.
Yes, so she just had to pull it out of the package.
The tomatoes, we helped her slice it so then she didn't turn it into tomato sauce in the process. And then we had some avocado in there, and after peeling and removing the pit, it's hard to mess that up. Even if she mashes it a little bit, then it's fine. It spreads a little bit better on the tomato and the cheese.
Mm-hmm. So it was delicious. They did a fantastic job, and they're really excited to pick out their meal for next week.
And going along the lines of kids and feeding kids, how's Stevie Beef and the Beef family? And for those of you who haven't listened to the other episodes, Stevie Beef is the American robin who set up a nest in the bush right outside the window of our library. She laid 4 eggs. They've all hatched. We've got these little hatchlings there.
They're so cute.
That the kids run over and check out multiple times a day, including kid 4, who's constantly going over there about once every 15 minutes to check on Stevie Beef and her babies that she's
kid
all
4
named.
is obsessed with the babies. She loves them so much, and they are adorable. Their feathers are starting to come in very nicely, and so they're fluffing up, and they've got this cute little baby floofy hair on the top of their head. It makes them look like they have wild, like an old man that's bald around with the crown balding.
Makes them look angry too and crotchety.
They do actually look really angry because of the way that their feathers are tapered in on their eyes.
If Ed Asner was a bird,
yes,
they would look like 4 of those.
They would look like 4 little baby robins. Ed Asners. That would be great. But I have noticed from my observations that the baby robin that hatched last is actually the runt of the litter. And the parents don't feed it as often as the other one. So we'll come in and we'll often see this poor little guy or girl with her neck stretched out and beak wide open, just waiting to be fed, and it just doesn't come.
Which one is that? Yogurt beef? Eggy beef? Bacon beef?
I think
What's the other one? Beefy beef is the dad.
Yeah, beefy beef doesn't like us. I think that it's actually eggy beef that is the one that's not being fed. So I think within the next couple of days we might get a very big dose of reality in nature with that bird. I'm a little bit concerned that the parents are going to cut their losses with it and remove it from the nest. So we'll see. But the rest of them are thriving.
Well, they keep getting bigger. The siblings might vote it out of the nest.
So we were watching them this morning, and I think the oldest one was actually trying to stand up, and he was flapping his wings. And I was like, no! Sit down, it's not time for you to leave yet. That's supposed to happen next week. I have prepped kid number 4 for the inevitable. The babies are going to leave the nest. We won't be able to see them every day, and she's a little bit heartbroken. Even more heartbroken to find out that Stevie Beef will not just stay in the nest forever.
But our little cocktail garden is kicking off.
Yes, and she does love that.
She does all that now that it's no longer just dirt.
Mm-hmm.
When she would come down in the morning, like, why it's still dirt?
Yes.
The eggs are hatching. But now plants are coming up. There's something to see, and it is taking off quite quickly.
Yep.
Cool. Well, what else do we have going on this week?
Last week, we did our Summer Racing Club Laker Duel, and the results are in.
That's true. The Summer Racing Club, which is the sister club to the Red Arrow Health and Wellness, actually it's the sister to the Red Arrow Challenge, had a timed virtual race. The Laker Duel was a bike then run. Emphasis on time, since most of the things we do for this and that are based on distance.
Mm-hmm.
And on our last recording, we had finished our legs, but there was still a window open, so just kind of going through I ended up first overall in the 15.1 mile duel. It was a 12-mile bike and a 5K run, so that was pretty exciting. I was getting a little nervous when I started getting the email alerts that so-and-so had put in the results and so-and-so had put in the results. I'm like, well, these are pretty good athletes. I mean, I might be in trouble, but managed to pull that one off. Jess, you were 8th overall in the adult distance, the 15.1 mile duel. Second among women in your age group. I love the eye roll since there was only two women,
only two of us.
two of you in your age group, but you came in second.
Yay!
Well, it's a good thing you didn't come out of third in your age group when there's only two of you. Kid 1 was 4th overall in the 8-mile duel. That was a 6-mile bike and a 2-mile run. Probably could have done better, but it was enjoying. Like, we went and did the run at a park, and she thought she saw a snake crawl into a pond, and she decided to chase it and see what it was, and then she started looking at the minnows. The clock's running while she's doing this. Like, I'm out running my 5K, and I look over, and she's just on the edge of the water, staring in the water, looking at animals, and looking, clock's running, but whatever, she'll learn. Still not too bad. Second among girls in her age group. Kid 2 was first overall in the 3-mile duel. That was a 2-mile bike and 1-mile run. Overall for all the age groups in there, overall for boys and girls combined. Kid 3 was in that same distance. He was second overall, but first in his age group. He's a little bit younger than Kid 2. And then Kid 4. This was Kid 4's first race. We talked about it in the last episode. Of course, I don't think anyone listened to the last episode, our sleep show. But Kid 4 was so proud of herself. She had the 3/4 of a mile duel. It was a half-mile bike. It was a 1/4-mile run. Took her about a half hour to do. But still, those little legs were going.
She was so proud of herself.
Well, and then she was first overall.
Right.
She was the only kid that age to attempt the race.
That's okay.
But
it's exciting for her.
For us, not only did she finish it, then we got to tell her came in first place.
Yes, and her eyes lit up, and she said, "Oh, really? Me? I won? Oh, that's so exciting!"
She should just quit right now. It's like 100%. One for one. Every race she's done, she's been in first place.
Yeah, but my favorite was she finished it and she said, "Oh, my legs are so tired."
As she was bouncing up and down on the couch.
She was not tired at all. She had tons of energy after she was done. But I think she was just imitating all of us that actually were really tired after our races.
I'm looking through the window and she's like scowling at us.
Yeah.
On the topic of athletic achievements, we still have the Red Arrow Challenge still going on. That's going to continue on. Week 5 is done. Week 6 is currently in progress, so we have champs to go over for Week 5.
Yay! For swimming.
It's Memorial Day weekend. Summer's upon us. Some people have already opened up their pools. Clearly, we're starting to see more swimming going on. For 9 and under, Vivian was on top. 10 to 19, Eli. There's a name we haven't seen yet on the champions list. 20 to 29, H-Cane 305. I'm guessing that's probably a Hurricane fan since 305 zip code is Miami.
Oh.
Ooh, knocking out Gator Boy. I wonder if we got a Florida thing going on here. Well, it wasn't Gator Boy this time. It was H-Cane 305 for the 20 to 29-year-olds. No 30 to 39-year-olds. And then 40 to 49, El Tiburon 95.
Running.
9 and under was Vivian. 10 to 19 was Ronin Runs. 20 to 29, H-Cane 305. 30 to 39, Abel. 40 to 49, Coach T. And 50 to 59, J-Mar.
Walking.
9 and under, Yellow Ninja. 10 to 19, Lucas W. 20 to 29, Smitha. 30 to 39, Mrs. Coach. 40 to 49, Al Palomino. I think I'm saying that right. 50 to 59, Bill. 60 to 69, the always gangsta name of Kilogram Ill. And 70 to 79, No Don.
Biking on road.
9 and under, Lil Marsh. 10 to 19, Lucas W. 20 to 29, Super Mario. 30 to 39, Cyclopath. 40 to 49, Try Again. 50 to 59, A.R. Miller. 60 to 69, Kilogram Ill. 70 to 79, No Don.
Biking off-road.
Biking off-road was looking a little thin this last week, and it might have something to do with all the rain that was going across the United States, since most of our members are, at least based on downloads, are in the United States. Although, side note, did notice out of our international listeners, Brazil has surpassed Germany in downloads.
Ooh.
Very interesting.
That's cool.
But for biking off-road, 9 and under, nobody did it. 10 to 19, the usual suspects did not report it. 20 to 29 was a tie between Smitha and Super Mario. And then 40 to 49, Cyclone.
Sit down paddling.
9 and under, Sea Bass. And that's a letter C, B-A-S. I hope I'm saying that right.
I like sea bass. I think
it's not the fish, sea bass. And then 40 to 49 at Palomino, and 50 to 59 A.R. Miller.
Stand up paddling.
20 to 29 Gator Boy. Gator Boy made it into the championships list. Yep. And 50 to 59 A.R. Miller.
Cross country skiing.
40 to 49 El Tiburon 95, and 50 to 59 Big Juan 64.
Skating.
10 to 19 JoJo. 20 to 29 H. Kaner 305. And then 40 to 49, we got a new name on the list. Great Juan. I love this one. It makes me think of Wayne Gretzky, even though it is GR, the number 8, and JUAN.
Nice. Hockey.
No hockey still.
Maybe in June.
Maybe in June. The local rink is hoping that if things continue to relax here in Michigan, they should have the new ice in with the new paint job ready to go late June. Some of the rinks in Indiana and Illinois are starting to open up. Just got an invite to participate in a tournament in Indiana. I don't think I'm going to go to that one. As much as I miss hockey,
I think that is a wise decision.
Kind of want to see how that one goes and how it plays out, because they'll have that one, and about 2 weeks later, we'll be getting ready to open things here. We can see how many of them come down with coronavirus. They can be the canaries in the coal mine. Yeah, as much as I love hockey, we'll let them be the canaries in the hockey coal mine.
Yeah. Points.
9 and under, Vivian. 10 to 19, Lucas W. 20 to 29, H. Kaner 305. 30 to 39, Helmut 85. 40 to 49, El Tiburon 95. 50 to 59, A.R. Miller. 60 to 69, Kilogram Ill. 70 to 79, No Don. 80 to 89, nobody, because we don't have any members that old. And 90 and over, also don't have any members in that category yet. So if you want an easy win and you're chronologically gifted, sign on up. And then there were the featured members, which are, well, you and me.
Woohoo!
I won in running and biking this last week. I was not going to get defeated by my wife 2 weeks in a row.
Ha.
We are slightly competitive.
No, not slightly.
But you won in walking.
Amy!
And I took you in points.
That's okay.
Jessica, how's your 6th week going?
Not well.
At least you're honest.
I am honest. No, not well. It's been, a big push with wrapping up e-school for the year and getting all of the things done. And we've also been working on, we have a pool in our backyard. And so I've been working on getting the chemistry just right in that and cleaning it out. And
what kind of creatures have you found this year? So
many things already, and it's only been open for about a week. I pulled a frog out of the pool. It's a pretty big bullfrog, so he was fun. And I fished a dead mouse out of the pool. I'm surprised there weren't more, or some chipmunks. There usually are around now. And yesterday, we had a nice little treat of finding a crawfish in the pool again. This has been a thing. Last year, I pulled 2 or 3 out of the pool. And this year, right off the bat, there was another one already in there. He was in a pile of leaves that I was vacuuming up. And I saw a little glimmer right as the vacuum went over it. And I said, oh, that looks kind of weird. And so I pulled the vacuum out of the pool. And I shut the whole system down, and I opened up the drain, and I pulled it out, dumped it out, and there was Mr. Crawfish. Actually, Mrs. Crawfish, because it was a girl, and she was awfully pinchy.
Would have been okay if there was been some
not happy to have gone through that ride through
crawfish buddies there. We could have had a boil.
If there were like 12, that would have been
12?
good.
12?
Yeah.
How about like 5 or 10 pounds of them?
No, I meant for like a little salad.
I meant like for a full-on cookout.
Okay, anyways.
It is crawfish season down in Louisiana.
But the point is, where the heck are they coming from, and how are they getting in the pool? Like, I really need an answer to this question, so if anybody can tell me how
they have these little things called legs, and they just crawl their way. I wish you all could see the look she's shooting me across the table.
Okay, so our house sits on a ravine, and there is a creek way down at the bottom of this ravine. And it is like, there is a serious drop-off to even get to the bottom of the ravine, and the creek is even farther down there. I cannot possibly imagine that this little 1-inch crawfish is climbing up however long it takes to do that to then hop into our pool when there is a very lovely creek right down there.
Maybe a bird's dropping them off. Airmail.
Maybe,
It's like drone delivery for packages.
I mean, they're delicious. Why would you just drop your crawfish off in the pool?
You pinched in the belly, you're going to let go.
I don't know.
Pool's a little bit cold. The kids got in.
Oh, that was so funny.
Because they're like, just a little longer as they're turning blue and their lips are purple. I'm not cold, I'm just shaking uncontrollably.
Yeah. I liked kid number 1 who decided she was going to hop in a bikini yesterday and then insisted the entire time, I'm not cold at all. My body has warmed up to the water temperature.
Look, it was so cold, it didn't matter she had a one-piece on. Unless she was getting in a wetsuit, it was going to be cold.
Kid number 4 said, I want to go in. And so you put her in, and she did that kid
number 4, yeah.
thing. And I was like, you got to pull her out. She's going to start screaming in a minute.
She made it 15 seconds, and then she looked cute with her big beach towel over the top of her floaty, which made her look like a football player with those giant jackets they wear over their pads.
Yeah. So cute. I don't know. She put her feet in and splashed with kid number 3 for a little bit longer after that. But
well, it won't be too much longer.
No, it'll warm
as long as the dead mice can stay out so you don't have to shock it again.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't think they like it either.
I don't really care if they don't like it. Marco, how is your 6th week?
Ooh, how's the mimosa?
Good. Marco, how is your 6th week of the RAC going?
It's all right. I mean, like you said, we're trying to wrap up schooling and everything going on. We've got a lot of just, it's the rain is, wow, we're having a rough morning. I am not a morning person, but wow, I need another coffee. The rain has finally let up, so there's a lot, everything's in bloom, everything's taking off, all the weeds are taking off, so there's been a lot of yard work. So I've been getting some walking distance in of just going back and forth through the yard with the wheelbarrow and with, different tools, trying to do edging and lawn mowing and cut down the growing rainforest in our front yard.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But I have gotten out for some runs. We just went out yesterday with kid number 1, working on her target, her goal that we laid out, what was that, episode 6 or something. She's improving, and when we kicked it off, she could make it almost a quarter mile before she had to walk.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're making it over a half mile before she drops to a walk, and we're repeating it. The workouts she and I do together are just shy of 4 miles.
Awesome.
So it's not just, we just ran a half mile and we're done. It's, we ran over a half mile. We're picking targets out in the distance. Like, you got to go there before you stop.
Mm-hmm.
Her legs are not tired. It's just, we got to fix her breathing. She's almost hyperventilating. So I'm trying to work with her on breathing exercises. But anyone who's ever coached their own kid knows they are the most difficult athletes to work with when it's your own child. She's getting better at it. And actually, after we get through that first half mile, that first distance, and we walk, and we run again, we walk, as we get later in the workout, she stops thinking about her breathing so much, and then naturally just moves into a deep, calmer breath. And she's doing much better. We can actually go further. It feels like, late in the run, where I can pick something that is a quarter mile, half mile away, and she can do it. And we're already like 2.5 miles into our run. So I think she's going to hit her goal of being able to run 2 miles without stopping by the time the season starts in August.
That'll be fantastic.
I'm hoping she can do a 5K without stopping slowly. Who cares what the time is by the time the season kicks off? Because right around the kickoff of the season, she's already asking if she can do the wine run, the 13.1 half marathon and 5K, not too far from here again. I've told her if we do it, and it's a simple course. It's a down and back.
Yeah.
You really run down the road. There's a fire truck that tells you where you turn left. You follow that road until it dead ends into a park, actually a boat launch at a small lake. That's where the water station is, and then you go back the way you came. But I told her if we did it, I'm not just trotting next to her. I want to run it too.
Yeah.
So, and she's like, yeah, I can do that again. I was like, when we did this with her a few years ago, she took her grandfather, and she was smaller. But now she's like feeling confident enough she can do this without anybody else with her.
Well, there will also be people there.
Oh, there's plenty of people around.
Yeah, so she won't get lost.
No, and she's done it before. But the fact that she's feeling brave and feeling like she can go out, she doesn't need basically someone to be there and talk to the whole time.
Right.
That's exciting too. That she's starting to think like a runner. I don't think for a second she can physically run that far. Right, if we did it today.
No.
But there's a chance she might be able to trot it by the time we get to mid-August. And if not, I really hope she can make it the 2 miles and then knowing that, hey, I'm almost done,
Mm-hmm.
she'll pull it off. So we'll see. As we mentioned, that this is Memorial Day weekend. It is the kickoff to summer, unofficially. Pools are opening. It's getting nice out finally. So for our main feature this week, we want to focus on summer cocktails. And the real killer when it comes to cocktails, because you and I both enjoy a good cocktail.
Yes, we do.
Or two, is that it's all the mixers.
Yes.
It's all the extra things that bring in a lot of carbs. I mean, no, look, cocktails are not low calorie.
No.
They are empty calories for the most part. I mean, some people will
But
try.
they taste good.
Oh, they taste good. But then the mixers you put in with the alcohol just add on carbs and carbs and carbs. And if you're watching your carbs, and those of you who've been listening to our episodes know that we are both carb conscious in terms of our nutrition and diet, to each your own. Trying to find those cocktails that you know and love and make them in a low carb version is sometimes difficult.
Yes.
And it's just, on a nice summer day, lounging by the pool, you want that summer cocktail. So we want to do that today. So this is our version of a happy hour show. As we sit here at brunch in our bathrobes, we each have 8 low carb cocktail recipes, and we got some bonus things at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, but before we get into the actual recipes, a few points.
Getting trashed on summer cocktails is not an effective and sustainable weight management plan.
It's not.
It's not.
That's unfortunate.
Isn't it?
Unlike, what was it? Your godmother said, like, her weight loss plan once was tequila.
She did.
How'd you lose all the weight? Tequila.
She moved to Mexico for a couple of years. And then she came back and she was super skinny. And we said, how did you do this? And she goes, I drink tequila every single day. Lots of it. It's delicious down there. Everyone should drink tequila all the time. You lose a ton of weight. We were like, whoa.
Or it's like around the hockey rink, people would notice I was losing weight. Like, what's your secret? No one wants to hear, diet and exercise and, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just like, whiskey. I just drink whiskey. Makes me sound like a giant alcoholic.
I mean,
but
there's no carbs in whiskey, so.
But it was like, they don't want to hear the real answer, so it's like, fine, I'll make stuff up. It's kind of like when we were in grad school and we were working for the university and teaching and consulting and working for a consulting firm, and we had like 4 or 5 different streams of income, and it was complicated, and your mom's like, I just don't understand how you guys make a living. And at one point I just got so frustrated, like, we sell drugs. We're drug dealers. I got a Miami Vice suit, it's 1980s, and she's like, shut up, Marco. I'm like, look, if you don't want to listen to the real answer, which is a long answer, we're going to give you a stupid, easy answer.
I was a big fan of the stupid, easy answer.
Just want to know,
look on her face was pretty priceless.
We were not drug dealers.
No.
But it was, it was worth it just to mess with my mother-in-law.
Yep.
Those who are on my cross-country and track teams, and a lot of our friends will know, I will go a long way just for the punchline.
It's true.
Anywho, along with the opening points on this summer cocktail list and show we're doing right now, we are not credentialed dietitians.
Nope.
We aren't even uncredentialed dietitians. We're not dietitians. We're psychologists. Specifically, we're behavioral psychologists. And if you want to get really technical, we're trained as behavior analysts. We focus on behavior.
We do enjoy a good cocktail or two.
Yes, we do.
Marco, you're a coach. How does this pan out with you working with impressionable youth?
Well, we brought this up, what was it, the What's for Dinner episode or something. But first off, I don't think any of my athletes are listening to this. It's hard enough to get them to listen to me in person. They don't want to listen to a podcast of me.
Sure.
So I don't even think they're listening. If they are listening, I'll lay it out this way. There's a time and a place and an age for everything. They're high school students. I'm in my 40s. I'm married, I have kids, and I enjoy a good cocktail. You know what? When they're older, if they want to get married, cool. If they want to have kids, cool. If they want to enjoy a cocktail, cool. When they're older. They shouldn't get married in high school. They shouldn't have kids in high school, and they shouldn't enjoy a cocktail in high school.
No, they shouldn't.
When they're older, when they're of legal age, and if they so choose to do so responsibly and have at it. Mm-hmm. But for now, no. It also is definitely not a performance enhancer.
No, could you imagine?
Oh my God. Isn't that the story with the Tour de France? They used to serve beer while they were doing it, and then it was considered performance enhancer.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Drunk guys on bicycle, and it was improving performance? I would love to see some scientific data on that, but
I don't
no.
think it exists.
High school athletes, your bodies are still developing, your brains are still developing. Lay off, don't drink, wait till you're old enough. As for me, I'm old enough,
Yay!
so cheers. And for all ages, drink in moderation, be responsible, don't drink and drive, don't have a big pool party with cocktails and then hop in the car and go home.
No.
If you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to manage your fitness, if you are training for a big race, again, moderation. Having a cocktail or two is fine. Don't be pounding them all day, every day. If you are having trouble moderating your consumption of alcohol, professional resources are available and you are encouraged to seek those. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help.
Yep.
And getting that help's the first step.
And with all that said, Marco, what's your first drink?
For my list, I'm starting with the easier cocktails and moving into the little bit more complicated, more ingredients, more steps. So, starting out with just the basic old fashioned, and from this, you can add in more ingredients, you can mix and match and change things out. But for a simple old fashioned, to make it low carb, 2 ounces of rye whiskey, a half ounce of zero sugar simple syrup. This is a simple syrup sweetener replacement. I really like the Torani sweeteners. Now they make a lot of sugar, simple syrup type sweeteners for coffee and whatnot, but they have a line of sugar-free sweeteners. So it's a great replacement. Use a half ounce of that, and then 2 to 3 dashes of Agostino bitters. Stir it all up. Put it in a glass, rocks glass preferably, but who cares? Put it in a glass. If you're going to be by the pool, get a plastic
Yes.
glass, especially those double-walled tumblers.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't want glass down by the pool. And put a giant ice cube in it. Call it good. And by the way, as we go through these, we are going to name our sugar and sweetener alternatives. They are not sponsoring us.
Nope.
It's just what we use. Find what's out there. There are products out there, but hey, just for transparency, these are the ones we use.
Yeah.
Jess, what's your first cocktail on the list?
My first drink is the Moscow Mule. For mine, I like to put 2 ounces of vodka in the glass, and then I like to add 0.5 ounces of lime juice. Fresh lime juice. Always fresh lime juice if I'm using, or fresh juice if I'm using a fruit juice in my drink. I don't love a lot of lime juice, so I like just a hint in my drinks for flavor.
And again, fresh. You're not using the green little plastic grenades you find at the grocery store.
Those are gross.
Or the ones in the cocktail mixer aisle, the from concentrate, kind of yellowish, looks radioactive.
Oh yeah.
That stuff's gross too.
Kind of avoid those. And then after I mix it up in my glass, I'll top it off with some sugar-free ginger beer.
And Jess, what kind of ginger beer do you like to put in there?
I actually like Barrett's sugar-free ginger beer. I think it's really, really good. We've also found the Zevia mixer ginger beer, which is also nice.
And available at the local grocery store.
Oh yeah,
so it's,
definitely.
Yeah.
We're not special ordering any of this stuff. It's all at the grocery store. Marco, what's your second drink?
My second is a favorite of mine in spring and summer, and that's the classic mint julep, which can be pretty sugar heavy if you do the traditional version.
Yes.
And if you had a mint julep, it's like one is great, but sometimes you want to sip on them all afternoon. In a nice spring or summer afternoon, they're very refreshing. So for my low carb version of a mint julep, I'll take 4 to 5 sprigs of fresh mint. I'll take a half ounce of my zero sugar simple syrup, and then I'll take 3 ounces of bourbon. So what you want to do is put your mint and your simple syrup in the bottom of a glass and grind that. If you have a pestle, those little wooden, or we've got a marble one too, to kind of crush the leaves, release the oils and the flavor, great. If not, a spoon will work too, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Then pour in crushed ice, and over the top pour your 3 ounces of bourbon. There you go. If you want to take a straw and give it a quick swirl, if you want to be really, go for that. If you want to be really fancy, put another little sprig of mint on top. Boom. You've got your mint julep. Mint julep's got a special place in our heart. We both love watching the Kentucky Derby.
It's the best.
We like having Kentucky Derby parties. I still remember in grad school, I was sitting there writing my dissertation, and there's an entire section of my my intro where I'm doing it's on airport security, and somehow, after a day of drinking mint juleps and watching horse racing, the brilliant idea of, oh, we can in with human vigilance. We can work in 3 Mile Island. Totally needed to credit mint juleps with that. Could not find a good way to get that into my acknowledgments page. That I was drinking mint juleps when I came up with this bright idea, but it's in there, and every time I flip back at it and go, oh, that's a mint julep inspired piece to that wonderful body of research. Ah, yes, the mint julep. Jess, what's your second drink?
My second drink is the French 75.
Ooh, a classic. And it's mentioned in Casablanca.
It is. It's, you know what? This is a fun drink. It's fancy, and it's pretty, and it's delicious. So for mine, I like to put 1 ounce of gin and ½ ounce of fresh lemon juice and 1 teaspoon of sugar-free simple syrup into a glass, and I stir it up with a swizzle stick. And then I top it with 4 ounces of brut champagne. And then to garnish, I make a little lemon twist and stick it on top.
And before everyone runs out and buys swizzle sticks, which they can be fun, and if you like doing cocktails, you should have some reusable
glitter
ones. And if you have some, you can even have the plastic ones if you have parties. But if you don't have a swizzle stick,
just use a spoon
or a chopstick,
or a knife, anything that's
butter knife, not a steak
long
knife,
and that you can stir things with, is totally fine. I just like the word swizzle stick, and like I said, ours have glitter in them.
There you go.
Right. So when I drink this, I like to feel fancy and sophisticated.
What kind of glass do you use for it?
Champagne. A champagne flute.
Can you drink it out of a solo cup?
You can drink it out of whatever you want. Who cares?
Champagne flute down by the pool. Not the best. Hot tub.
That's true. But yeah, if we're drinking these down by the pool, we put them in our little plastic tumblers and call it good. Drink number 3, Marco.
This is a chili margarita for me. Margaritas can be murder on the diet if you do a traditional margarita, and especially if you're doing one of those pre-mixed margarita mixes and just throwing in tequila. Those things are so full of sugar and so full of carbs. It's just, you can't have it. And for a while, I was staying away from margaritas. But then I found a 0-calorie margarita mix. 0 calories, very low carb. I think for each drink, it comes out to 1 carb. So it's like, awesome. I can work with this. It's basically a sweet and sour mix. So for us, the one we found was called B Mixed.
Yeah, it's really good.
So I'll take 4 ounces of B Mixed. I'll take 2 ounces of tequila, stir that up, put it in a rocks glass that I've rimmed with, and I rim it with chili salt. And you can go out and buy pre-made chili salt, but you know what? Just take chili powder right off your spice rack. Take some coarse salt, like kosher salt, put it in a little dish, rim the glass, so you wet the edge of the glass, run it through there so you get the nice chili powder. You can put a little bit more spice in there if you like spicier. Pour in your tequila and margarita mixture into the glass. I also like to put 1 big ice cube in it, because I don't need the weird upside down sombrero looking cocktail glass. I'm just going to spill anyway. So I just want a normal glass.
No, we don't use those in our house.
We have them.
We do.
They are covered in dust on the top shelf of one of the cabinets. But so I've got my chili salt rimmed glass, big cube inside with tequila and margarita mix. Simple, easy, can repeat as necessary. I guess you really could make a whole pitcher of these, but at our house, and especially under in the age of coronavirus, it's just you and me and the kids. So we'll make them to order. For you, Jessica, number 3. Number 3, you're kind of sliding away from the classic cocktails and heading into tiki land.
I love tiki drinks. They are my absolute favorite. They're so fun and they're so delicious.
But all those fruit juices and everything, while tasty, you start repeating them, it's like carbs start piling on fast.
Heavy. So not great if you're
So how are you getting around that, Jess?
All right, so you do a lot of substitutions.
Well, what's number 3?
It's a painkiller. These are so delicious. I love them. All right, so in my painkiller, I will put 2 ounces of dark rum and then 4 ounces of coconut pineapple sparkling ice, which is it's a substitution for the pineapple juice that you're supposed to put into this drink. And it tastes great. but you don't get all of the carbs with it.
Is there any alcohol in that, or is it basically a
No,
seltzer water?
It's just like a seltzer water. It's wonderful. You can use it for all kinds of things. And then I'll put 1 ounce of coconut milk and 1 ounce of Trop 50 orange juice into my shaker glass. I'll add some crushed ice, and I'll shake, 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 and then pour it over a glass filled with crushed ice, and of course, add an umbrella.
And if you get rid of the rum, it's basically a mocktail.
Yeah. All the tiki drinks can be turned into non-alcoholic drinks if you don't want to go that route. And still be delicious. What's drink number 4 for you, Marco?
So now I'm starting to get a little bit more complicated here, a little bit more mixology going on. With my list, I started mixing up, different alcohols. So I've done whiskey, I've done tequila, and now it's time for gin. So I went with the Cucumber Ricky. For this, go with 4 ounces of gin, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 6 slices of cucumbers, plus you're going to need about 2 more to garnish, some fresh mint, and you should have that left over from your mint julep, and then sugar-free ginger beer, which Jess mentioned already.
Mm-hmm.
To make it in your shaker, muddle the mint, the cucumber, and the lime juice. Get in there, smush it up good, mix it up, break it up. Then you add the gin and cover it up with ice. Shake away. Strain that into a pint glass and top it with the ginger beer. Garnish it with 2 cucumber slices and you're set to go. And then this one I really like to make. We've got the traditional cocktail shakers, but we also have this one where you can get these off of Amazon. They're these little tops that go on mason jars, which acts as a strainer. And it turns your mason jars into cocktail shakers. And for this is one especially because it's got the wide mouth, makes it really easy to do the muddling in. It also, if you're doing a variety of different cocktails and you don't want to be constantly doing the dishes and washing your one cocktail shaker, and you don't want every cocktail to have like a little flavoring of all the other cocktails you made that day, great thing. We can use the same top. It rinses really easy. It's stainless steel. And then it's just the glass mason jar underneath. You can even drink it straight out of the mason jar if you don't feel like straining it.
Yeah.
You want to go for redneck chic.
You could add a non-disposable metal straw to it.
Well, there you go.
Fancy.
So, Cucumber Ricky, this one's light, refreshing, a little tart and sour mixed with a little sweetness. Perfect for a warm day, just hanging out by the pool. And it has vegetables in it because it's a cucumber.
Vegetables, there you go. Now you have a salad.
It's a salad. Yeah, you have cucumber and mint and lime, so it's like a salad
Hit the food groups.
Salad by the pool. Just don't ignore the 4 ounces of gin that's in it.
That's hysterical.
It's a preservative.
It's fine.
Is that like the salad dressing? Yeah. Jess, what's your number 4?
All right, so my number 4 is the Mai Tai. This is my absolute favorite drink in the universe. I get them every single time we go to a restaurant or a bar that serves them.
And they're never the same everywhere you go.
They're not. And I just want to specify that my version of the Mai Tai is the fruity version, and it's not the original Trader Vic's version, which is significantly less fruit in it. It's basically got lime juice, and that's it, and a whole lot of rum. But mine has all kinds of things, so it's a little bit complicated. So what we need in it is...
That's a loud bird.
Wow.
Anyway.
All right, so you're going to take 1 ounce of light rum, a ½ ounce of triple sec, a ¼ ounce of lime juice, and then I like 1½ ounces of my coconut pineapple sparkling ice, and 1½ ounces of my Trop 50 orange juice. And
why are you going with the Trop 50 instead of just normal orange juice?
It has less calories and less carbs in
Got
it. So, and then I need a ¼ ounce of orgeat syrup. Now, Marco, you made the orgeat syrup for me, so maybe you can explain how you made it.
Well, we were seeing this. You've got several tiki books, or tiki drink books, and it kept showing up, and I'm like, what is this stuff? Finally found a recipe, and then it's like, oh, it's basically simple syrup with almonds and orange and some sort of alcohol. Some recipes had brandy, some had vodka, but the simple syrup part is basically water and sugar, which is like carb crazy. So took a few stabs at making this. Read through the recipe, and you're supposed to take whole almonds and then put them in the food processor, and these were roasted blanched almonds, but make them into a fine powder and put it into your simple syrup. I'm like, oh, I can bicep this. I have blanched almond flour.
Yeah.
It's fine grain. So I took some sugar alternative and some water, boiled it down, made a sugar-free simple syrup, and then I dump in my almond flour and made essentially a sweet almond glue.
Yeah, it did not go well.
And then they're like, well, and then after you let it sit for a while, you're supposed to uh, uh, strain it through cheesecloth or fine mesh and just get the syrup out. Yeah, that wasn't coming out of solution.
It did go well.
I got like a few drips out of what was it, like 4 cups of this stuff. Could get maybe a few ounces out. Wasn't worth it. So, second attempt. Went out and got slivered almonds. Went and took the Tarani sweetener. It's already a simple syrup that's sugar free.
Mhm.
Took a mason jar. Threw in 2 cups of the slivered almonds, 2 cups of the Tarani sweetener, put the lid on, shook it up, and then just let it sit for about 8 hours.
Yep.
Every so often went by and gave it a shake. And to infuse that almond flavor into it. When I was done, took a strainer. I used a mesh strainer, but you know what? The almonds are so big, they just come right out.
Mhm.
You could use the same colander or whatever you're using for your pasta. Just get the almond pieces out. Then into that, if you've got orange rose water or orange water, not orange juice, put a teaspoon in, but we didn't. So actually, you like orange, so we
I
went
do.
with a 1/4 teaspoon of orange extract,
Mhm.
put it in, and 2 ounces of vodka, put it in, shook it up. We've got a resealable jar with another nice rubber gasket on top. Gave it a shake, put it in the fridge, keep it in the fridge. It's one of those quintessential tiki drink ingredients that they use when you go out to a nice tiki bar or tiki themed restaurant. They've got it there, and most of the home cooks, home mixologists don't have. You're not going to, for the most part, most liquor stores, most grocery stores, when you're looking for the mixers, it's not going to be on the shelves, so you're going to have to make your own.
Yeah.
But it really was easy to do once we did some experimentation to figure it out. So go with the slivered almonds. If you're going sugar-free, use your sugar-free sweetener simple syrup. If not, you can use some store-bought simple syrup. You can make your own simple syrup. Just make sure it doesn't boil over. My wife was ready to kill me the time I tried making my own simple syrup at home, and she was also very pregnant
I
at the
don't
time.
do sticky, even on the best
Oh yeah,
day, let alone
it boiled
while I'm
over,
pregnant.
and I covered the entire stove with sticky syrup, burned. It smelled like burnt caramel.
It didn't go well.
But yeah, so this is a fun ingredient, easy to make. You'll have leftovers. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to your Mai Tai
All
recipe,
right,
though.
so you're going to take all of that plus the orgeat syrup and then a dash of grenadine, and you're going to put it into your shaker glass with a little bit of crushed ice to cool it down. Shake, 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 and then you're going to strain it into an old-fashioned glass half filled with ice. And then you are going to float a ½ ounce of dark rum on top. Go ahead and garnish with an umbrella with a piece of pineapple or an orange, and there you go.
Orange slice, not like a whole orange floating in there.
No.
Drop in a clementine.
Glass.
You can get a
That'd be
clementine.
funny.
It looked like a beach ball.
No, just a little slice, a little bit of flavor, and that's a Mai Tai, and they're wonderful.
Could you toss a cherry in?
You totally could if you like cherries. I personally don't.
Watch out for the maraschino cherries because they're just basically dripped in sugar. Now, if you made your own with sugar substitute or just boozy cherries, go out to the store, buy some cherries, put them in a mason jar, fill it up with vodka or bourbon or whatever, and then when you need them, pull them out, throw them in your drink.
Solid plan.
Keep them away from the kids.
All right, Marco, what is your drink number 5?
All right, getting more complicated. So, I've done whiskey, I've done tequila, I've done gin, and now it's time for rum with a summer storm. A summer storm is a variation on a dark and stormy. So I go with 4 ounces of aged rum. Not a white rum, not your Bacardi Silvers out there. And you don't want to go with a dark rum, your Myers or whatnot, ones that are heavy in molasses. An aged rum, a gold rum, something that's sat in an oak barrel for a little while. 4 ounces of aged rum, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice that you just squeezed, not the stuff from the green grenade in the grocery aisle, the plastic grenade. 3 ounces of sugar-free ginger beer, 2 teaspoons of agave syrup, or in our case, a alternative. I like to use the Truvia. Is that how you say that, Jess?
Yeah, Truvia.
Truvia nectar. It's a stevia sweetener blend with honey and sugar alternative in it. You use it just the same. It does not have the exact same flavor of agave syrup, but it's serving the same purpose. It's got the same texture. It's adding the sweetness to this. You're also, for this recipe, going to need 1 egg white. If you've got a thing about eggs, you can eliminate the egg white. And finally, you need either 3 ounces of pineapple juice, which can be a little heavy in carbs, so you can also swap that out for pineapple extract. And if you're doing it, it's not a 1-for-1 substitution, so you're not going to put 3 ounces of pineapple extract in. You're going to go with...
God, that'd be horrible.
It's going to be the taste, but start out with a 1/4 teaspoon of the extract. Yeah. It's not going to take much. It's going to be pretty powerful. To make this, you put your rum, either your extract or your pineapple juice, your Truvia nectar, or if you're using agave syrup, put that in, your lime juice, and your egg white into a shaker without ice. You're going to dry shake, and when you hear dry shake, it means you're shaking all the ingredients without the ice in your shaker for about 10 seconds. That's going to help build up the foam that's going to be on top of this. Then add in your ice and shake it for 30 seconds. Be sure you're hanging on tight. Strain it into 2 glasses that have been filled with ice, or 1 really big glass if you don't feel like sharing. But if you're going with the 2 glasses, top them each with 1.5 ounces of the ginger beer, and you're all set. What you should have is a nice kind of cloudy yellowish gold drink with a nice white foam on top. And again, it's another one kind of like the cucumber Ricky, a little sour, a little sweet. Not overly alcoholic, so you can sip on these during the day while you're sitting by the pool, watching the kids jumping around, putting your legs, your feet in, and just floating on a raft. Mm-hmm. It's great. Jess, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is my take on a jungle bird. So I am calling it a macaw. You need 1.5 ounces of dark rum, 1/2 ounce of Campari, 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce of keto simple syrup, which we're using the Toriani screw-free for that. And you put it all into a shaker bottle, and you shake it really well with some crushed ice. And then when you strain it into your glass, you top it with the orange mango sparkling ice water. And it is so good and so refreshing, and it is just absolutely perfect next to the pool.
And it tickles, it makes kid number 2 so happy because he loves macaws.
He does.
He's got a stuffed animal named Ringo he loves.
Called a macaw, and he said, "Oh, can I have it?" So we'll have to make him some virgin ones this summer.
He loves it. So one of our favorite breweries to go to, there's a guy around here who shows up at the breweries and sits outside with a giant macaw on his shoulder. And I have so many pictures of him photobombing. I'll get a picture of the guy with the macaw on his shoulder. And then there's kid 2 photobombing in the background.
He totally does.
Far enough away that if the bird were to lurch or jump or something, he wouldn't touch kid 2. But close enough where he can see the details because he loves birds and he especially loves macaws.
He does.
And this guy, all he's missing is an eye patch and he'd look like a pirate walking around town.
Yeah. So with the macaw, you garnish it with an umbrella, of course, and maybe a little slice of orange as well. Drink number 6, Marco. What do you have?
All right, it's vodka time. We're getting, again, a little bit more complicated, a little bit more planning goes into this one. So you're going to start out with 4 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice, 4 ounces of grapefruit seltzer, 1 ounce of simple syrup alternative, and 1 hibiscus-flavored tea bag. All of this stuff you can find at your local grocery store. It's not really that exotic of ingredients. So start out by taking a glass or a jar or something, and you're going to put your tea bag in it and pour in your 4 ounces of vodka and let that steep for at least 20 minutes. No more than an hour, though. And you're really just infusing and taking your standard vodka and making a hibiscus-flavored vodka. Now, some of the hibiscus teas out there are a hibiscus blend of hibiscus and citrus or something. Cool, whatever. That just means you're going to have a little bit more citrus flavor in your cocktail when it's done. It's not the end of the world. When your hibiscus-infused vodka is ready to go, pull the tea bag out, throw it out. Pour that into a shaker along with the lime juice and the simple syrup, not the grapefruit seltzer. You're going to have a huge explosion in minutes on your hands. Shake up your vodka, lime juice, simple syrup combination. Give it a nice shake for about 30 seconds in the shaker. Pour it into a glass over ice. Add the seltzer on top. I love this one. Now, look, it's bright pink. And there are variations of this out there that use grapefruit soda. By using the seltzer water, it's 0 calorie. You do use your sugar alternative sweetener to sweeten it up a little bit. For this one, I like to use bubbly sparkling water, but whatever. Get a 0 calorie seltzer water that tastes like grapefruit. It's going to be bright pink. Deal with it if that bothers you. But it's a little bit tart, a little bit sour. It's got the sweetness, so you got sweet and sour going on. It's bright. It's effervescent. It's a perfect summertime drink to drink by the pool. And number 6 for you, Jessica. Staying with the tiki drink theme, are we?
Yes. I like rum punch. So mine is super simple. I take 6 ounces of water, 2 ounces of white rum, I like Bacardi, and then 2 to 3 squirts of the Mio fruit punch, water flavor.
Are there carbs in the Mio?
No, there are no carbs in the Mio.
Sweet.
That's why it's very popular on keto dieters.
And it only takes a few drops anyway. So.
Exactly. So I use 2 to 3 squirts of the Mio in my drink, and I poured all 3 of those ingredients into my shaker glass, put some ice in there with it to cool it down, shake, 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 and then I poured it in a tulip glass with some ice cubes and topped it off with an umbrella. And it's a very lovely red color, in case that matters to you. If not, whatever.
I like red.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. Number 7 for you, Marco.
Number 7's heading into dessert. And growing up as a kid, one of my favorite things in summer were root beer floats. Ooh. So why give up on that when you're trying to go carb-free, and especially when you are an adult and you like something a little bit boozy? I have a boozy root beer float. This takes 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, 1 tablespoon of sugar alternative. I like to use the Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. It's a sugar replacement. 0 net carbs, 0 calorie. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3 ounces of dark rum, and then 4 ounces of sugar-free root beer. It took me a while to find a good sugar-free root beer that actually tasted good to me. I found the Hanson's Diet root beer. This one's out of California, but again, found right at our local grocery store here in Michigan. Anyway, start out by making whipped cream. You take your heavy cream, your sugar replacement, and your vanilla, throw them into a bowl. Take your hand mixer and mix on a medium-low level for 1 minute. Now, ours has 9 different speeds, and I usually do it around 2 or 3 for the first minute. Controls and settings are going to vary based on what model you have. After that first minute is done, I crank that sucker up all the way. We've got 9 settings. I go take it up to a 9. I wish we could find one that went to 11, just so it went to 11.
Yeah.
Do that for about 2 minutes until you get stiff peaks, just like a traditional whipped cream, only we're using fake sugar. Mm-hmm. Place that and your can of root beer in the freezer, not the fridge, the freezer for 5 to 10 minutes. Don't forget that it's in there, otherwise you're going to have a big mess to clean up later. In a chilled mug, and I like a big old beer mug for this, add your rum, 1/2 to 2/3 of a cup of the whipped cream, and top that with your diet root beer. Add a straw. There you go. Now you've got a sugar-free version of a root beer float with rum in it.
Woo!
And the dark rum really blends into that root beer flavor, and it's a taste of childhood and the adult level. Jess, number 7 for you?
Number 7 for me. I am leaving the tiki drinks now, and I am going on to an orange creamsicle. Oh, it goes along with what you just made.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, so we need 2 ounces of vodka, 2 ounces of heavy cream, 4 ounces of diet orange soda, and I like to use the Zevia 0 calorie orange soda. You can find it at the grocery store. It's widely available.
And if you don't have Zevia, it doesn't matter what brand.
The brand doesn't matter, just as long matter.
None of these companies are sponsoring us, so use whatever you want.
As long as it's 0 calorie, no sugar. A 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract and a 1/4 teaspoon of orange extract. So you're going to put all of those ingredients in a blender, and then you're going to add 1 to 1.5 cups of ice, and you're going to crank it up and blend it until it's whipped and smooth.
What do you crank it up to?
A 9, because that's what we have.
If only it was 11.
I know, it would be amazing.
Everything's better when you crank it up to 11.
For sure. So blend it up till it's whipped and smooth, and then pour it. I like to pour mine into a tulip glass because I think they're so much fun.
It's fancy.
And yes. And then garnish with an orange slice and serve icy cold. And this is fabulous on days when it is 350 degrees outside and humid as all heck. And this will cool you off right away, and you'll be much happier.
Remind you of childhood.
Oh, for sure. It tastes like those
taking away some of those aches and pains of adulthood.
Those orange push pops that I think they were like Flintstones brand or something. It tastes like that.
I don't remember the Flintstone part.
Okay, the ones that I had were Flintstones.
I remember Flintstone vitamins.
Those still exist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They're good. All right. Drink number 8 for you, Marco.
Well, staying on the boozy, fancy stuff. Got a bourbon swizzle.
Bourbon swizzle. Do you
try
use
saying
a swizzle stick?
Maybe, but you try saying bourbon swizzle after you've had a few bourbon swizzles. Be a fun game. This one's got 2 ounces of bourbon, 1 ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1 ounce of sugar-free simple syrup, half a teaspoon of sliced ginger. And for us, we like to take our fresh ginger you get from the grocery store. And by the way, when they have the large chunks of ginger, you can totally break off just a little arm of the thing. You don't have to get the giant hunk of ginger. Break off something about the size of your thumb or whatnot, but we put it in the freezer. Wrap it in, press and seal, saran wrap something, put it in there. When you put it in your fridge, it lasts a few days. When you put it in your freezer, it lasts a few months. And it's easier to slice. It's way easier to grate. So we'll pull it out of the freezer, still frozen. Don't wait for it to thaw. Slice off what you need. Chop it thin, even if it's grated, with a half a teaspoon. 3 sprigs of fresh mint. And then you're going to need 3 to 4 dashes of aromatic bitters and 3 to 4 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. Why are you shooting me a look?
I don't know what that is.
It's the same kind of bitters I use when I'm making Sazeracs.
Oh, very yummy.
It's red in color. Very yummy. So to make this, you're going to muddle your mint. Push it down, break it up, release those oils inside. Then add everything to the shaker except the bitters. You're going to save those to the end. You're going to dry shake it, no ice. Dry shake it for about 20 seconds. You're going to pour that into a highball glass if you have it. If you're not sure what a highball glass is, they're the skinny, tall cylinders. Don't have a highball glass? Who cares? Nobody's judging. Break out a pint glass. You want to use a rocks glass. You want to use a Solo cup. Go for it.
Solo cups for the win.
You want to use a generic brand Solo cup. Whatever. Put it into some sort of drinking thing.
Vessel?
Mason jar.
Mason jars.
There you go.
Better than
All right.
Solo cup.
Top it with ice. And then on top of the ice, you're going to put your dashes of your bitters. Garnish with a little mint. Throw in a straw if you want.
Awesome.
It's fun. It's fun to say. They are quite tasty. And it's something you can repeat if you're sitting and just kind of enjoying the sun, visiting, and then don't just pound these things. I mean, it's got bourbon in it. It's going to add up over time.
Indeed. Real fast.
And it is one of those dangerous ones because it doesn't taste super alcoholic, but it's got bourbon, people. Be careful. All right, Jessica, number 8 on your list of summertime low-carb cocktails.
The classic Bloody Mary.
Comes in handy after all these other, probably the next morning after you've had all these other cocktails and you need a little hair of the dog.
All right, so mine is very simple. It's 2.5 ounces of vodka and then 4 ounces of some sort of tomato juice blend that you like. When I made these, I used the V8 Spicy Hot blend. And now I just want to say that there are actually a lot of carbs in this particular tomato juice. But I'm only using 4 ounces, and that comes out to about 4.5 carbs. So if you're going low carb the rest of the day, or you're not eating things with a lot of carbs, this is okay for you. But if you're going to have carbs later, you might want to skip this one.
And just watch out when you're at the grocery store. Look at the nutritional label.
Yeah.
The carb counts on these vary wildly.
They do. And I'm sure that you can find a tomato juice or a tomato juice blend that has lower carbs. This is just what we found.
Some are pre-seasoned.
You can actually make your own. There are recipes out there where you can make a keto tomato juice for this. I just didn't want to go through all the steps to do it.
And if you're looking for low carb, that's a great search term to look for because that's the core of that diet is low carb. But there's other low carb stuff out there.
But for me, I figure 4.5 carbs for a fairly large drink isn't terrible, and I know that I can cut carbs later on in the day with other foods that I eat. So it's fine. You're going to put both of those things into a shaker with ice, and then mix them up, and then pour it into a glass. And I like to garnish mine with a celery stick and some pickles, which also have carbs, but that's okay.
What kind of pickles do you like to use?
I like
because
to
we have like
use
400 different varieties
so
of
many
pickles in
pickles
this
with
house.
all these people in our house. I like the Dave's spicy pickles.
Nice.
They're so good. And then I like to add a splash of 1 tablespoon of the Dave's spicy pickle juice to my Bloody Mary. I think it gives it a little punch. Yeah, it's great. I also added, it wasn't quite spicy enough for me, which is weird, but I did add 7 splashes of crystal to it. Give it
Crystal
more of
meth?
Yeah, crystal meth. Woo! No, the crystal hot sauce.
Oh, the crystal hot sauce.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's early.
Mm-hmm.
We usually do this after we put the kids to bed, not in the morning.
We're not morning people. All right, so that's my Bloody Mary mix.
So that's my 8 summertime cocktails, low-carb versions. That's your 8 summertime cocktails, low-carb versions. But we want to throw in a few bonus items here. So these items, not necessarily low-carb, but it's just something that goes with summer. And so as a bonus thrown into this episode, Jessica, what is your favorite beer to sip poolside in the summer?
I like the Blood Orange Blonde from Haymarket Brewery in Bridgman and also in Chicago.
That's right. In Chicago, it is the brewery. In Bridgman, it's the tap room. Both are really good. The food's outstanding, too.
It is amazing. Marco, what's your favorite beer to drink, to sip poolside?
In the summer, if I'm sipping a beer poolside, it's a tie for me. One is the Leisure Ale. That's a golden ale. Or the Margarita Melon Heads, which is a sour. It's got hints of lime and sea salt. Actually, saying it's a hint is an understatement. It's pretty powerful. It tastes like a margarita, and actually sometimes the brewery will go and throw them into the slushy machines and actually make margaritas out of them. It's great. Both of those are from Watermark Brewery in Stevensville, Michigan. The Margarita Melon Heads is a seasonal. The Leisure Ale is pretty much always on their menu. The Leisure Ale is also 4.7%, depending on the batch. But so you can sip on those for a while. Again, not low carb, but sometimes you just want a beer.
Yep.
And then just wine's usually not low carb, but let's throw the low carb part out the window. What's your favorite summertime wine to just sip on poolside or out on the deck? Just
sit and chill.
Sit and chill.
I have 2. I actually really, really love the Adele Dew from Round Barn Winery in Baroda, Michigan. It is wonderfully sweet. It's actually, I think it might actually be classified as a dessert wine, but I drink it with non-dessert. But it's very sweet and it's very calming, and it's just a nice wine. And then if I'm in the mood for a red, I will drink the South Pier Sunset Red from 12 Corners Winery in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And this is also a sweet wine. I am a sweet wine drinker. I do not love the dry wines. So this one is wonderfully sweet without going overboard on the sweetness, if that makes sense. And it's very nice.
Wilford Brimley's not showing up.
He's not showing up.
The oatmeal man's not going to go diabetes.
Sneak up behind me and say diabetes.
Because some of those wines you had for a while were so sweet. It's like, where is Oatmeal Man with his mustache going to talk about diabetes?
He is not going to show up for either of these wines, so that's a bonus. But they are full of carbs, and they're wonderfully delicious. Marco, what is your favorite wine?
I've noticed since I've gone low carb, which means cutting back on a lot of the sugar, and even with these sugar alternatives, keep an eye on what you're having. My taste in wine has shifted more and more dry. So what I consider a sweet wine for me now, out of the varieties I drink, one of the sweeter ones is, relatively speaking, which is still on the dry side, is a Crush, and that's by Dreaming Tree out of Gyersville, California. Most people know it as the Dave Matthews wine.
Yes, Dave Matthews
and
wine.
It's the perfect wine for, at least in my taste, to sit on the deck. It's not fancy. It's easily available at the grocery store. Yep. It's not expensive at all, but if you're going to sit on the deck, where it might get knocked over because you have to quickly run because your kids have just done something and knock it over, perhaps you're not going to, like, oh no, there goes $100, $200 bottle of wine. No, it's reasonably priced. It's great for sipping by the pool, have your feet in, on a pool float. Yeah. Not low carb. Does not fit in with the cocktails we've already done.
Nope.
But it is one of my favorite summertime wines, just to sit and sip.
Awesome.
So there it is. Those are our summertime low-carb cocktail recommendations. Have a great summer. Drink responsibly. And with that, we are going to kick off our Memorial Day weekend and unofficially start our summer. Hopefully get in the pool without freezing ourselves.
Maybe.
You know, we do have a heater if we get the chemistry set.
Well, we gotta get the chemistry right.
Yeah. But for now, thank you for tuning in. Please continue to listen to the Red Arrow Health and Wellness podcast. Download the episodes, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll be back with another episode next week. But for now, Jess, it's been fun.
Loads of fun.
Bye.
Bye.